Hello everybody, this is Edwin the Magic Engineer, and I just have a special message for you guys about this Magic 30th, and I'm filming this a little bit differently because, as I'll show you guys, my whole kind of studio here is not exactly the same as what it used to be like a while ago because I haven't been making videos. So I went ahead and I reorganized things inside this room to kind of just be, I don't know, just more of just a room and less of like a studio with like the lighting and such like that. So, yeah, the format of this is going to be a little bit different. So, yeah, let's get started on this topic. Magic 30th. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Edwin the Magic Engineer. I know you haven't seen a video from me in quite a while. And for anyone that's been asking, I'll just quickly address this because I know I'm going to get the question. No, there's no issues going on. There's no arguments. There's no drama. Things are fine. I'm getting along great with everybody. We've just been busy. I've been doing other stuff. And honestly, actually, I've just been playing games. And instead of just making videos about them, I've actually just been playing. In fact, even like this weekend, I have a bunch of guys from work and everything coming over, and we're going to do some traditional EDH in my house. So I'm fine. Thank you, everyone, for asking. Anyways, there's been big news. You guys already know about the Magic 30th edition. I'm definitely not the first person that's going to actually talk about this. I'm sure you've already heard about it. The Magic 30th edition it's a new collector's edition, effectively, that's been created. It's going to be sold by Wizards of the Coast, and they have, in fact, reprinted Power 9 cards, Black Lotus, all this stuff. And it's been all over discussions. And this has really been a big key of what it is. The price point is $999 to buy this box, which comes with 4 of these booster packs. And there's going to be retro frame for some cards, which is a bit more rare. And there's going to be normal frame, which is less rare. So you guys have already heard about this from other people. I'm going to put a slightly different spin from some other channels on it and give you guys some insight. And I think I'm kind of in a unique position to talk about this subject because, number one, I own a lot of these cards. A lot of other people talking about it don't actually own them like I actually do. And you guys know the quantity. If you've been following me at all, you know I own a lot of it. 2 sets of Power 9. I have 80 dual lands. I've got all those old cards. So I have a significant investment into the old original cards. And I'm also someone who's spoken about proxies a lot in full support of proxies. In fact, one of my most popular videos is this video that I'm going to link, which is actually showing people how to make proxies that are not counterfeits, but proxies. Easy to tell. So I've been a huge supporter of them. And I've also said for years that proxy support actually brings people into a format and actually makes old original card prices go up. And I stand by that. But so I own the cards. I've been a big proxy supporter. And I've also spoken an awful lot about the reserve list. And I've actually delved into the legal side of what that is and how that works a lot. And the fourth piece is I am an avid old school member. And for those of you that don't know old school, it's a tournament format that's player ran. It's not DCI. And it's only cards printed in 1993 and 1994 with original art, original card frame. And there was a change a few years ago where we the players actually allowed the collector's edition and international collector's edition to become legal in that format. And so I'm going to talk about all those because those are subjects that I'm particularly familiar with that a lot of other people aren't. And that's really where this whole thing centers. So let me dispel a couple things that people are just kind of getting wrong all over the place. First of all, this is not a reserve list break. It's literally not a reserve list break. And I'll show you that very clearly just by just going straight to the facts, not just Edwin's opinion, right? Okay, so if you go to the actual versions, copies of the reserve list, the original ones all talk about, there we go, all policies only apply to tournament legal Magic cards that are printed. That is the way that they phrase the reserve list initially. And even when you go to other places and you say well, did people consider collector's edition reserve list cards? Well, let's even just look at what even existed. Here's MTG Goldfish. If you go to a beta Black Lotus, you see you got this little reserve list tag here. Go to alpha Black Lotus. There's a reserve list tag. You go to unlimited Black Lotus, reserve list tag. But see what happens when you go to vintage Masters? which was an online only version, no reserve list. Go to collector's edition, no reserve list there. Go to that was international. Now here's normal collector's edition. It's not there. And so what I'm trying to make clear with that is it was clearly understood by people for an awful long time that the collector's edition was not part of the reserve list. And I've even made videos on my channel, Edwin the Magic Engineer. On the other channel I did with Open Boosters called Unhinged Magi, we talked about this, and even Open Boosters has done videos on it. And we've constantly said for years now, we don't see any reason why Wizards of the Coast can't reprint collector's edition. They just keep saying they're not going to. And so it's not a reserve list topic. So let's get clear on that. When you talk about promissory estoppel and like that whole lawsuit, that doesn't apply to this. But that's actually not where that ends. It's actually very interesting because promissory estoppel has nothing to do with magic. It's a legal term. And what it basically says is it's an implied contract under the law. And all it has to do with is like somebody making a very public statement. Like, we will never do this thing ever again. And then a bunch of other people make investment and finance decisions based on it. And the person who made the original promise has verified knowledge of other people making investments based on their promise, right? And then even like continues to make that promise. That's promissory estoppel. And it could effectively apply to like many situations. Like I could say, I'm going to build a new amusement park in this location. And I keep telling people and I promise it. And then all these gas stations get built, hotels get built, all these things. And then I see that they're doing it. I publicly confirm that they're doing it. And then they continue investing. And then I just suddenly pull out. That's where a promissory estoppel lawsuit could come in. Now, that applies to the reserve list because Wizards said, literally, we're never going to print reserve list cards. And then people invested in those old reserve list cards. And then Wizards doubled, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled down, saying over like 30 years, we're not going to reprint. We're not, well, not 30, like more like 24 years. We're not going to reprint. We're not going to reprint. We're not going to reprint. Kept saying it. And so that's been very solid. And that's why there's a solid promissory estoppel case there. So like I said, though, they never promised to not reprint, the collector's edition as part of the reserve list. But they did say, in fact, they did say that they're never going to reprint the collector's edition. It was normally said in the same breath, or the same article, or the same moment in time that they were talking about reserve list. But they would just say, and we're also not going to reprint collector's edition. So this is a distinction I don't hear a lot of people saying. The reprinting of collector's edition is not a reserve list topic, but it is a separate promise that they made several times that they're never going to do. Now, having said that, there could be a lawsuit filed based on that second promise if there was actual damages. Like if people owned, like me, I own a lot of these collector's edition cards. Say they dropped in value a bunch. Now there's damages, which creates standing, and people could file a lawsuit based on that. It's my opinion. Wizards of the Coast knows this, and that is the core reason that they actually made this new collector's edition, this Magic 30th anniversary, at such a high price point. Because they're trying to defend a separate possible lawsuit of promissory estoppel based on previous promises not to reprint collector's edition, right? So I don't hear a lot of people giving that perspective. I think that's actually true. And I think that's really why that price point was so high. So there's several things to mention about this, though. At first, I was actually really excited about the fact that they're reprinting Magic 30th. And that actually flows exactly with like who you guys know that I am. I am not a gatekeeper. I don't want to prevent people from having access to Magic cards, which is the very reason that I've supported proxies all this time, is because I want people to have access into a format. I want the play side to not be just based on winning with your wallet, but to have like some level of competition where skill is going to come out on top, because that's really what the best sports are, right? But although I feel like that, I also recognize that people who put their money into these old Magic cards based on a promise that was literally made and doubled down on over the years, it's also not correct for everybody to just demand to have access to cards and then for them to take losses on it because they were promised that they would never happen again. So I see both sides. I want people to have card access, but I also completely understand why it's valid for collectors and investors not to have their investment destroyed based on reprints. Both are true at the same time, which is the very reason I went for proxies all this year. And I've been constantly saying proxies, proxies, proxies. So naturally, I'm 100% in support of Magic 30th coming out because I happen to believe it doesn't violate the reserve list, first of all. It gives access to people that didn't have the cards previously. That's hugely good because I want them to have access to those cards. And the reason why I don't think long-term this is going to have would have had financial damages is it's possible that in the short term, people would say, oh God, and get freaked out and they would sell their collector's edition. And then so the price would drop, which could trigger lawsuits. But here's the trick. So many people that don't currently play Vintage, Legacy, Old School, and Commander with like original dual lands and such, so many new people could come flooding into those formats, which like if there's this many Magic players in the world, there's like that many Old School players. It's a tiny demographic. So many new people could come flooding in that could bring new buyers in. And then I think those prices would immediately lift back up because that's been my experience over the years is the amount of people in a format creates demand. And when you talk about these old cards, there's a very limited supply. That's the very reason that alpha is so expensive because there's an extremely limited supply of alpha. And as more people around the world decide that they want it, that brings buyers in, that creates demand upon a limited supply. So what I think would happen if they had released these Magic 30th newer reprint collector's edition at like a normal price, like $4 a pack, I think collector's edition probably would have dipped for a bit out of fear. People would have started about lawsuits, but then all these people would have come back in. And let me tell you guys, if I saw collector's edition drop like crazy, I'm going to be one of those buyers. I'm going to run in and buy the crap out of old collector's edition cards. So I think not only that, but new players would be like, oh, look at this. This is so cool. I've got this Magic 30th one, but wouldn't it be awesome if I could actually get like a 30-year-old collector's edition CE that was printed on the original same plates as Beta, looks exactly like Beta, and it has so much history around it, and there's only 5,000, I think it's like 5,000 international collector's edition Black Lotuses, and there's like 9,000 collector's edition Black Lotuses. It's a very low supply. I can absolutely see people going back into the old ones for the same reason that people go to Alpha and Beta, this exact same reason that an Alpha Underground C might go for like 10 grand, but like a Revise might be $600, right? That's the same reason. It's the same thing. It's always existed. So I'm basing my opinion on things that have existed for like 30 years now, right? People want the older, more original, more expensive copies. So I think collector's edition would go through a dip and come back up. So when I first saw this Magic 30th release, I was extremely happy about it. And I'm saying that as a person that owns reserve list cards, as a person who has all these cards. And I'm totally confident that the price would have dipped and then come right back up. And then there would have been so many more people into it. And it would have totally revised the excitement around all these old formats. And new players would finally get a chance to try out 93, 94 Old School and Vintage and Legacy and get to see what's so awesome about those formats. And they are. They're awesome formats. So I was happy about it. And then I saw the price point. And it was like, whoa, hold on. And I put a post up on Facebook. And my post at the top is actually very positive about the whole thing. And then at the end of it, I said like, hey, and I see one big issue, and it's the price of this Magic 30th. And the price is really the problem. And I called it out and said, like, this is really the problem. I hope that they revisit this and they drop the price. And as I spoke to a lot of people, the negativity of what that price is and what it means has been hitting me more and more over time. And I'm 100% in agreement with the entire community in saying like that price is a greed move by Wizards. It's a perverted thing. It's not there to help the players. Like when Rudy made his video, and I've been speaking to Rudy, by the way, like over text on this whole thing. And I'm in 100% agreement. Like Wizards did not do that to support the community. They did not do that to support the need and the desire in the player base. This is absolutely a case where you can see that Wizards just wants your wallet and that's it. You're a number, nothing more. That's true. Rudy happens to believe that these are going to sell well initially. And I don't actually think they will. And I have two scenarios that I'm looking at that I expect to happen here. Even if he's right that they sell out when Magic 30th is released, which I don't think it would because I don't hear anyone being excited about it. Even him now. Even if they sell out then, that I think it's not going to be the collectors because they're going to want the originals. It's not going to be the players because it's way too expensive for them. It's not going to be your average investor. It's going to be speculators only with large amounts of capital that think that this is going to like run up really hard and then crash. And here comes my dogs. Yeah. Welcome to my dogs, internet. So anyways, I think those are the people that are going to be the people that will run it. It will be the speculators that are hoping to buy Magic 30th and then quickly flip it on a secondary market. So even if they sell out, which I don't suspect, even if that happens, what I think is going to happen is those people will now relist those cards to try to actually like capture a profit. And what they'll find is that like nobody wants to buy them because people are just going to do exactly what everyone on Reddit and other videos are saying. They're going to look at it and be like, you know, these things are so expensive that I could just go buy like Real Power, or I could go buy Collector's Edition, which is like the original version on original plates, way cheaper than I could buy these. Why am I going to buy these ones? It doesn't make any sense. And on that set, like let me show you this like really cool app that was made by someone. This is the Magic Simulator, and what this person did, and you can donate to him right here. He created a little online app that lets you click this button one at a time and see which cards you would possibly get. Now, it's like a random number generator, right? And you could click that button and you can see like which cards you actually got in your pack, which are the important ones, right? And you can see like how many dual lands you've opened, how many power cards you've opened. And so you got a Tundra here on this first click, and you've got an old frame for Mana Short and Mana Flare, and you've got an old frame of Bayou, which is honestly kind of cool. But what you can do is you can keep clicking this, and you can get a sense of like how many times you would have to buy a pack in order to hit Power 9. And so I'm clicking through here, and here I just hit 9 Power 9 opened. Now, does that mean that I actually opened one of each of the Power 9? No. That means I opened at least 9 Power 9 cards, which means if I want to trade them into a set of Power 9, I'm going to need to take the ones I have duplicates of and trade them for other ones. So like there's a Mox Jet, and there's also, let's see, here's a Black Lotus. So that was also nailed. There's a Mox Emerald. Anyways, the point is that you can actually click through those and you can see that. And now, so I did this many times and I came up with a list of like what's the best results I got and the worst. The best results I got was out of 9 packs being opened, I got one of each of the Power 9, but that's $9,000 spent, right? And of the Power 9 that I got, notice that most of them are not old frame. Now, the worst case I saw was after spending $43,000 effectively, I actually got a Power 9 set. But again, that's not one of each of the correct Power 9, and it's not them all in old frame. And so that's like a simulation of the amount of money you're going to spend. But sorry, I bumped the table. I want you guys to think through what that means. So like in a worst case scenario, you're spending $43,000. And what are you getting for it? What you're getting for it is like not old history-based collector's edition that are printed and look exactly like beta from a sleeve, which are just beautiful, old, and amazing. They're newer ones even like the retro frame is not exactly the same. It looks different, right? And I suspect once the market settles out, I suspect even those to be at a lower price point. Anyways, you're getting like newer versions, which even like are not the retro frame for the majority of them, and the non-retro frame are not old school legal based on the current rules of old school. And now Commander has even come out and said they're not even strictly legal in Commander, although player groups are probably going to allow them. But the point is, you're spending $43,000. They're not DCI legal. They're not old school legal. They're not Commander legal. They're still just proxies, right? Now, what could you have got with a fraction of that money? You probably at this moment could go spend $25,000 and you could get an entire set of collector's edition at this moment for like typical market prices. And then you would have one of each of the Power 9, so you've got a full set. They are old school legal. They are they are the original ones printed on the original plates. And you've also got one of each dual land. You've also got a Time Vault. You've also got like Gauntlet of Might. You've got a Force Field. You've got like a Demonic Tutor and a Soul Ring. You've got like all these really big cards that are also expensive cards. And instead of like 42 grand, you've spent like 25 grand, right? And they also have like decades now of price history behind them, right? So that's really the problem with this Magic 30th. Even once you look at everything and you balance it all out, Wizards put the price point so high that it just doesn't make sense on the secondary market. So even if these things sell out initially, I think it's speculators going in to buy them. And I think they're going to put them up for resale in the secondary market, and they're going to take a bath on it. But all of this excitement is going to pull so many people in. I'm personally expecting Collector's Edition and International Collector's Edition to come down based on fear. But then all these people being in it, the renewed interest, old school just continues. Commander players that were already playing them still allow them. I think people will eventually move into those Collector's Edition. And if those prices are depressed, they're just going to get bought up. And I am going to be one of those people that's going and buying those Collector's Edition. This is one of those moments where I think the market is wrong. People haven't thought it through yet. And that's why I thought I'm in a unique position here and I need to make this video and get my opinion out there. So I kind of came out of like retirement now to effectively make this video and give you guys this information. So hope this was good and useful for everybody. And sorry about the different kind of room and format and such, but I'm not making videos now. I'm just busy playing, but I thought this was important enough to actually make a video on. So thanks everybody. I hope you have a great time, and yeah, keep playing cards. Bye.